Hey, so I know I'm late to the Draw My Life bandwagon, but I'm still alive and I know how to draw, so, I figured why not? Alright, so I was born in Gowanda, New York. There it is, look at that. I was actually one of the last kids born before they closed the maternity ward at the hospital. It was pretty much a cement windowless room anyway, so babies aren't really missing out. I didn't really keep a journal for the first 6 years of my life due to my lack of literacy, so I don't really remember much, but a quick summary. I lived with my mom, and my grandma, aunt, and cousins helped raise me. I called a pacifier a nanny, and now all my relatives say nanny. I'm clearly a tastemaker. At some point in my life, I don't remember when, a tree crashed through my bedroom window. But I wasn't in bed, so I'm still alive. Whew, yeah. All right. My mom, there she is, met my stepdad, and they got married. So then my stepsister Meg started visiting on weekends, and her and I used to build stuff and put on shows and make bad choreography to songs like All Star by Smash Mouth. At some point, I was walking in our basement, and I got a fish hook through my big toe. Real gross. There's my foot. Fun fact that they have to push it all the way through to get it out. I still don't like sharp objects to this day. But yeah, so my mom and my stepdad had 2 kids, Trevor and Rachel. So it was mom, dad, Meg, myself, Rachel, and Trevor. Oh, and Scruffy. Scruffy was a stray dog that showed up on our doorstep one day, and we got to keep him. I love that dog. We always had Sunday dinners at my grandma's house with extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, all that jazz. Super fun, and I almost never missed it. And just thinking about it makes me want some meatloaf and mashed potatoes. My extended family goes on an annual camping trip back in New York. It's been a tradition since long before I was born, with aunts, uncles, cousins, spouses, siblings, dogs, all that jazz. And it's just a week-long time with campfires and card games and rock climbing and hiking and stuff. And I've only missed it once. So I went to a private Catholic school, kindergarten through 8th grade, and our cafeteria was also our gym and the church basement. It was a little bit of everything. And my mom worked there as a teacher teaching Spanish, math, and English, and she also drove me to school, which was pretty awesome. And she knew my grades before me, so... As my brain is a total sieve and I don't really remember things, I don't remember a heck of a lot from this time in my life either, but I do remember that I played a palm tree once in a school play. I was clearly typecast. So one school field trip, oh look, it's a bus without a door, which all I really remember is the trip to McDonald's at the end. I couldn't breathe. And I ran into my mom's classroom, panicking, and I wrote, "I can't breathe," on a sticky note. Dramatic, right? But then we went to the hospital, and that's when I found out I have asthma. So, super fun. There's us at the hospital. I don't think we ever had a black car, but... I used to hang out with my best friend Chris, and we used to play Pokemon cards and Nintendo 64. Super fun. Pikachu, woo! But unfortunately he moved away in 6th grade, and then I spent more and more time with my new friend, the internet. My grandma bought my first computer. It was a Dell desktop, and it had a 9 gigabyte hard drive. Most thumb drives have more space than that these days, so think about that. And soon after, my Aunt Patsy bought me a webcam. There it is. And I started making stop motion videos with my siblings, which was quality time with Legos and stuff. My aunt was the first one to get me interested in computers. We used to play Riven and Abe's Odd World for hours. Trying to call her house was near impossible back when dial-up internet occupied the phone line. I don't know what I was trying to draw there. Yada yada, time passed, and I graduated 8th grade with 7 classmates. Yeah, 7. Then I went to public high school, and surprisingly enough, I fit in pretty quick, even though I was a stranger. I played basketball, I ran cross country, come on, pick up, draw things. Okay, and I did track and field, high jump, long jump, triple jump. What? There's the high jump, there it is. And I also did chorus and musicals, so lots of stuff. Throughout high school, I also worked for a pizzeria in my hometown, and I spent most of my nights making pizzas and subs and chicken wings and pasta and other pizzeria-y things. And I can still remember the feeling of all the grease cooling on my body during my drive home, which is really gross, I know. So one weekend, I went to retrieve my stepdad's mother's car from Binghamton, New York. There's a line. And I drove 4 hours there, swapped cars, and drove home in the 1978 Chevy Nova. And in the last 30 minutes of the drive home, something went terribly wrong. And the front right tire blew, and it shot me off the road and into a tree. I just have a thing with trees, apparently, in my life. And the car didn't have airbags, which is what happens when you have old cars. And all I really remember to this day is opening my eyes and seeing my face covered in blood in the rear view mirror. There's some blood. Look at that. And the EMTs thought my back could have been broken, so they carefully removed me from the vehicle, but luckily I got out of it with just a scar in my eyebrow. I could have died. So fast forward to college, I went for computer science, but quickly switched to TV and film. I played a bunch of sports, and I fixed computers and yada yada, and I was a resident assistant, which is fun, because no one likes resident assistants, who are we kidding? Oh, and I was the executive producer for a student-run television station. Side note, in college, I started my own reality competition game show on YouTube called Tube Trials. I had open auditions to find 10 contestants to compete in weekly challenges. It was kind of like Survivor meets the internet. And beyond learning how to produce, direct, coordinate, shoot, edit, and host and stuff, I created one of the coolest internet families ever. And the show's made it through 3 seasons so far, and I intend to make more and yada yada yada. And yeah, so that was college. All right, after graduation... All right, I packed up my life into my little 2003 Pontiac Vibe and drove across the country with my mom to Los Angeles, California. It was a 4-day trip full of books on CD and stops to fill the gas tank. I vlogged the whole trip if you care to see it day by day. It's somewhere. We ended up in North Hollywood at my new apartment and dumped all my belongings and took a trip to IKEA. Once I settled in, we played tourist for a couple days, and then my mom flew back to New York and left me all by myself in California. My grandma was diagnosed with cancer in 2011. She passed away the week I moved to Los Angeles, and not being home killed me inside. I miss her dearly, but every so often she visits me in a dream and we have dinner, which is weird, but cool, I think. Why are these videos so sad? But anyway, a couple weeks passed and I was applying to every job I could find. I was making friends and networking my butt off and trying not to spend money as I saw the bottom of my bank account approaching. Ugh, money. All in the same week, I landed a job transcribing interviews for America's Got Talent. Thank you, Mandel. And I got a job as a production assistant on So You Think You Can Dance. Thanks, Justin. And in my first week on the show, I got to sit in on Lady Gaga's rehearsal. After those shows ended, I was back on the hunt for work. I made it to round 3 interviews for a job on The Ellen Show. Look at Story. And I didn't think the interview went very well, so I checked for new listings as soon as I got home and I saw an opening at Maker Studios, and I applied. And 45 minutes later, look, 45 minutes, I got a phone call from someone asking me to go in for an interview right on the spot. I was still in my interview ensemble from Ellen, so I hopped in my car and I drove to Maker. And then the next morning, they offered me a job, and I took it. At Maker, I get to work with tons of amazing YouTubers and make some pretty awesome content. I moved from lifestyle to comedy to working with Shay Carl, where I got to produce his When the Kids Go to Sleep podcast. You guys should check it out. My voice is in a bunch of them. And then made it back to comedy. And I've made so many great connections throughout my 2 years and counting at Maker. 2 months after landing my job at Maker, I moved into a new apartment with my lovely friend from college, Nina. Hey, Nina, there she is. And I spent the next month hunting down furniture for our apartment on Craigslist. That looks like a butt. It's not a butt. Stop saying it's a butt in the comments. But, yeah, so I didn't meet the Craigslist killer, thankfully. Throughout my time in Los Angeles, I've been fortunate enough to find some pretty great circles of friends. I have a group of friends that I play poker with. And then I also have another bunch of guys that I play basketball with. And I have a gaggle of YouTuber friends, because that's where it's at. And I also have a circle of friends that love to play board games and card games and all that stuff. So super cool. Between my career at Maker and my wonderful circle of friends, look at me being so literal, and my lovely, lovely roommate, Nina. Oh, hey, Nina. My move to Los Angeles has literally been one of the best choices I've made in my life so far. But I still haven't been to Disneyland. Someone take me to Disneyland. Well, thanks for watching me draw my life. If you want to see other stuff I make, there's some links on the screen. And then don't forget to subscribe before you go and like this and favorite this and stuff. And leave me comments because I always comment back. All right? All right. Bye, guys.